It usually only happens in fairy tales. The humble small-town girl meets a handsome prince. They fall in love and live happily ever after. But for Queen Mary and King Frederick of Denmark, it was very real. From meeting in Sydney during the Olympic Games to getting married, having children, and now ascending to the throne to become king and queen, Mary and Frederick have been through it all and are going into their next chapter stronger than ever. Sky News All-Stars Carolyn Russo and Angela Mollard explore the fairy tale romance of the Aussie golden girl and her Danish king. The meeting of the couple formerly known as Mary Donaldson and Prince Frederick was a sliding doors moment, explains Sky News All-Star Caroline Russo.
Let's talk a little bit about Mary and this incredible journey to make it to this moment. When you think just a Tassie girl, an Aussie girl who walks into a pub one day and now suddenly is a monarch.
It's quite extraordinary, and I suppose it's one of those sliding door kind of moments. You just quite literally in the right place at the right time, and you meet that person, and then off it goes. Like it really does show the Australian dream, right? Like anything wonderful can happen to any of us. I guess we're a very egalitarian society in that way, but it can absolutely happen. And look, Mary was working in Melbourne and then obviously up in Sydney for the Olympics. She was working. She was an accounts manager in a international advertising agency. I think she was working for Young and Rubicam at the time. And correct, she just happened to meet this man in a bar, and it makes for just such a divine story. And obviously, very shortly after that, they started dating quite privately. It all came out in about 2001. And then shortly thereafter, she moved to Denmark and she became a Lutheran, and she started to learn Danish, and you know, she was, you know, she made it happen, I suppose.
She also goes on to explain the early days of the relationship and how Mary and Frederick navigated the logistics of a long-distance relationship.
They were long distance for quite some time until she did move to Denmark in 2001. I've got to say, they must have done a very good job of trying to keep it under wraps, because I understand there were a lot of third parties involved, picking her up from the airport, taking him from the airport in Australia to secret locations. Eventually, of course, it did come out, but they did a pretty impressive job of trying to keep it quiet in the interim.
Following their initial union, Queen Mary lent into Danish life, patiently carrying out her duties as princess until she ultimately became queen, says Sky News All-Star Louise Roberts.
I'm a big fan of Mary. I think she has shown fantastic. She's played a beautiful long game, really. She has. She's been super patient. She's inserted herself in Danish and European life, with exquisite class and everything else. She's not caused any scandals. She's still there, even though her husband apparently has been involved in a scandal, allegedly. And so HM Queen Mary, long may she reign. I think it's a great role model for Australian girls in a way, to see that's the trajectory you can take if you end up sort of carrying yourself in a certain way and sort of applying yourself to certain standards.
Maybe and if you go to the pub on the right night.
Oh yeah, that's true as well. That doesn't hurt to go to the slip in, does it? So I think...
it's a favourite of yours.
Yeah, no. Maybe. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that Queen Margrethe, of course, said that she had a successful back operation, and it really made her sort of take stock and think of the future of the monarchy itself. And look, I'm all for getting a younger king and queen in. I mean, we don't have that, of course, in the UK at the moment. We won't do for a long time, but it's great to see they're sort of paving the way for younger royals to really sort of take the spotlight.
It's very exciting for Australia. Look,
many have likened the Danish royals to the British royals, particularly Mary and Kate. Carolyn Russo says both of these women are much-loved members of their respective families who dedicate their lives to charity and patronage.
What's interesting here is when you look at Frederick and Mary, you see a lot of similarities as between William and Kate. And particularly Mary and Kate, they are often compared, and in many ways they're very similar, particularly when you look at their interests in the charity sense and in patronage sense. Both have excellent senses of style. Karl Lagerfeld referred to them as the royal sisters. So it's irresistible to make those comparisons. Look, Charles has only really been in the role a little over a year, but he's also in many ways quite different to his mother. So it will be interesting to see. He has been very forward in relation to modernising the British royal family, slimming down the British royal family, making sure that they are relevant for the world as it is. So it will be interesting to see whether he takes the view at some point that there is that possibility that he goes, you know what, we need to have a younger set of monarchs in place for the modern world.
And it's not only Mary and Kate who are similar. Parallels have been drawn between Frederick and his brother Joachim with the British royal brothers William and Harry, explains Sky News All-Star Angela Mollard.
But Angela, you know, it's not hard to draw parallels between Frederick and Joachim with William and Harry. Are there any particular similarities potentially in the deterioration of that relationship?
Oh, lots of similarities, of course. This sort of hurt at being the Spare, and you know, it's a year on since Prince Harry's book Spare was published. Children fighting for their titles, a family decamped to America. The only thing that the younger prince hasn't done in Denmark's case is that he hasn't written a book yet. But yeah, there's obviously quite a lot of hurt and distress there, as Bronte said. But yeah, plenty of parallels, and it'll be an interesting one to watch to see what sort of support is there for Harry. Is there for Frederick and Mary. So look, see, even I'm confused with them. To see what support is there going forward for his brother. The other thing, of course, is that we know that Frederick doesn't actually want to be king. He's never been keen on that role. He's very reticent. He doesn't like public speaking. Mary's much more talented in that regard. So at least he's got her by his side.
Despite being adored by the Danes and indeed by people around the globe, the royal family hasn't been without their scandals, most notably in recent months, says Sky News commentator Bronte Coy.
Look, it's certainly interesting timing. It's been a weird few months for the royals, who are traditionally extremely popular. People love Mary and Frederick, and they view theirs as this fairy tale marriage. So when rumours surfaced a few months ago that Frederick was potentially allegedly having an affair, something which has been denied by the woman that was named at the centre of it, it really kind of threw a spanner in the works for the family. So the fact that this has come, you know, after the Queen has been on the throne for more than half a century, and this has come just a few months later, it does send a message of family unity, seeing Prince Frederick and Princess Mary step up to the plate now and have that bestowed upon them by the outgoing Queen. So that will certainly help their image. It will also add further scrutiny. We're always watching them now when they're out. People have been looking for any signs of strain or tension. That certainly won't ease now that they're going to be even more in the spotlight. But yeah, it's certainly been pointed out that it's interesting timing.
But in the midst of the alleged affair scandal, Queen Margrethe made a swift decision to abdicate the throne and make her son Frederick king.
But it is a bittersweet moment, because this is the moment when people are farewelling their beloved Queen. No one was expecting her to announce her abdication when she gave that speech on New Year's Eve. It was the furthest thing from people's minds. I've been speaking with members of the public here in Copenhagen, but also Danish journalists, and they've all said the same thing. They did not expect this. They did not foresee Queen Margrethe abdicating at this stage. They thought that she'd be in the role up until her death. So it caught a lot of people by surprise.
The new king and queen were welcomed with adoration from hundreds of thousands of onlookers. And the adoration did not stop in Denmark. Australia has embraced one of our own becoming a queen with open arms, says a Tasmanian MP.
And people love this story because this is a local girl who went to local school, went to Hobart College, my college, University of Tasmania. We're a one university state, and with that basis and that education has then elevated to the global stage, and we're all really taken with this story, as I think Australia is, and everybody internationally is as well. So I think there'll be a lot of parties, there'll be a lot of dressing up, I think, but mostly we as a state just want to express our great well wishes both to Mary and her husband and her beautiful children for what is really an iconic moment for Australia, but also for Tasmania.